Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. 7:58. You guys are late. I'm freaking early. Did it 2 minutes early today. You want to know why I did it 2 minutes early today? Couple of reasons. Number one, I got good steam today, you know? So I want to highlight the steam because a couple of times this has happened where it was like, Slee, hey, where's the steam? Steam is here. Sometimes I get started and I forget. Anyways, you see the steam right there, sort of a little bit. Steam's coming out. I'm enjoying my cup of coffee. Am I a little bit early? Sure, I'm a little bit early. What do you guys want me to do? I was ready to go. Sometimes, you get into the gym a little bit early. You get some shots up before everybody else shows up to practice, right? Sometimes you walk into the office, you got to be the ones that turn the lights on. Nobody else is in there yet. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being here. Not every time it's 7:58, okay? Not every time. But this morning, Wednesday, December 4th, we're in here a little bit early. Part of the reason I had two reasons why I started a little bit early. Number one, literally, I was just sitting here. I'm like, well, why don't you just talk to them for 2 minutes, even if you're not talking about anything? There's a chance they'll come join. The other thing is, I had a lot to talk about today. There's a lot. Sometimes I'll take you guys behind the scenes sometimes, or take you guys behind the scenes here real quick. Sometimes you do a show and you're kind of sitting there and you're like, Jesus, how am I getting an hour out of today's show? I got some work to do here before I get through an hour. And then there's other days like this morning where I'm like, I don't have enough time. Now, granted, this is YouTube. I could start the show whenever the hell I want. I could end the show whenever the hell I want. But I like to say a little structured. I like to be right around an hour or so. So we got a lot going on today. Appreciate you guys hanging out. No Laker game last night. Gotta be honest with everybody. Damn, last night was phenomenal in the NBA. Some really, really good NBA games. You guys know I'm kind of a NBA nut. But I'm sitting here, I'm working, I'm kind of getting the show prepared. I had a few things that I'm like, you know what, that's going to be a good topic. You got that, that's going to be a good topic. And in the background, I had the games on. Little Rockets, Sacramento Kings, Memphis and Dallas going down to the wire. The Golden State Warriors and the Denver Nuggets going down the wire. Really good games around the NBA. The bad news about that is there's a lot of good teams in the Western Conference. Lakers they're going to have some challenges. Houston's a tough team. Who else? Memphis is going to be phenomenal, even though they blew a lead late in the game yesterday. But some really good sports yesterday. And then tonight we got some action, Lakers and the Miami Heat. So thank you all for being here. Good morning to everybody. Grab your cup of Joe. Top of the morning to everybody. Where's everybody? Good morning over here. Good morning, Slee. Good morning. It's got good people here. Not everybody here just gets on and says, Slee, why don't you just shut up and talk sports? Good morning to everybody as well. So thank you for being a part of the show. All right, this is what we got going on. Long laundry list here of what we got going on. Got to talk about Jared Vanderbilt. A little setback there. I want to spend a little time on Vando because I'm going to actually try to spin this in a positive way with Vando. I do think there's some positive things that we could take out of Vanderbilt. Another setback, but I'll try to explain why when he does return, because I do think he will eventually return. How that's just going to be big time for the Lakers. It's almost like adding a completely new player. It's almost like making an offseason trade or an in-season trade. So we'll get into that in just a second. Lakers got the Heat. Won't spend too much time on that. Sammy Long is going to join me at about 8:30. He did the preview video yesterday for Lakers and the Heat, so I'll let him talk a little bit more about that game that's coming up. Blake Snell had his presser yesterday. I think today's a day to talk a little Dodgers baseball. So if you guys want to hear some Dodgers, I'm going to spend some time on that. There's some risk in what the Dodgers are doing just by going out there and throwing all this money and the deferred payments and all that. But I think it is calculated risk, and I don't think they care. Obviously what's going on with they don't care about what everybody else is doing. They got more income than they could possibly imagine. So they're figuring out their stuff. We'll talk about Blake Snell. Soto's about to make a decision. It sounds like next week Soto's going to be making by the end of the week, Soto probably makes a decision, and then Teoscar will follow up. It sounds like after he makes a decision, he'll make a decision after Juan Soto. USC's got some football signing day that's going on. I think that starts today. I'll spend a little bit of time on that. And then, like I mentioned, every Wednesday is Ask Slee. So if you guys got a question for Sliwa, go ahead and put it in the chat, and then I'll forward it to Sliwa. and then Slee will read those towards the end. Your Ask Slee could be about anything. I don't care what it's about. You could ask about sports. You could ask about food preferences. You could ask whatever the hell you want. But Ask Slee every Wednesday. We'll spend a little time on that. So thank you for being here. Good morning, and let's get the show started. 7:58 we started this morning. While some of you guys were sleeping in this morning, scratching your ass at 7:58, I was right here. I was ready to go. I was right here. Get your ass up a little early. You don't know what time I'm going to start. All right, let's get started here. So Lakers got the Miami Heat a little bit later tonight. So I think it's actually a 4:30 start. So they got kind of an early tip off with the Miami Heat. Let me just say this on the game, and then we'll preview the game a little bit more later when Sammy gets here. Very simple on the game. I don't care how they win. They need a win. Miami's not that good. They're I think 9-10 or 10-10. I say that knowing that the Lakers could easily lose this game, knowing that the Lakers are kind of a team in a similar position. Lakers haven't looked good. I mean, the last couple of weeks, have you guys watched Lakers basketball and said to yourself, well, that's a solid team? I was looking at some information here on the Heat. So they're 5-5 in their last 10 games. The last game they played was against Boston. They got blown out. They even lost a game against Toronto. So they're not doing anything special. But Miami, of course, will be ready to play the Lakers, and they are favored to win this game. And like I said, I don't care how they get the win. Just find a way to get a W. I got no idea. Bron is in such an awful, awful groove right now. I put out a video yesterday. You guys, while I was doing the live video, talked about maybe this dude has hit father time. Hell if I know. Obviously he's been so incredible for so long, and now all of a sudden he's on a streak where we've never seen before. The guy hasn't gone 0-19 from the three-point line in over 20 years. He's shooting under 45% from the field in his last 7 games. He hasn't had a longer streak than that in over 20 years. He's a minus 111 in the plus minus so far this year. I don't care how they do it. Just find a way to get a W against the Miami Heat tonight. Is Gabe Vincent going to, play great tonight against his former team? I'm not going to hold my breath for it. Is Dalton Connect going to get back? He's had 2 games in a row where he's struggled and the defense has really paid a lot of attention on. Is he going to be back tonight? I hope so. Is Anthony Davis, are we going to be having another conversation about AD saying, what do you mean the guy had 12 points or 16 points or 15 points? I hope not. I don't care how the Lakers do it. They are desperate for a win tonight. Really, really, I do believe that. They are desperate for a win tonight. So let's see what the Lakers end up doing. The big news that came out yesterday, so probably a couple hours after the show ended. Show ends, and I get some updates on my phone, and it says Jared Vanderbilt has a setback. Jared early in the year, if you guys remember, that was a game where LeBron and Anthony Davis didn't play. The Lakers were at Boston. They won that game. But during that game, Vando got injured, and he has not played since. I'll read off exactly what it says. Lakers said that Vanderbilt suffered a setback in his progression amid recovery from bilateral foot surgeries, sustaining an effusion in his left knee. Okay? It's a lot right there. I'm going to keep reading this. Vanderbilt's latest setback, a blow for the purple and gold. Okay, they're 12-9. LA is 24th with a 116.7 rating and 21st in opposition points scored. This is the Lakers on the defensive side, that they're basically one of the worst defenses in the NBA. With Vanderbilt in the lineup in 2022-2023, after the deadline, the Lakers had the 3rd best defensive rating in the NBA. He's played 29 games so far as a Los Angeles Laker. So maybe I don't know if that was last year, but it might be 29 games total. I don't know when Vando's coming back. I know that we just keep kicking the can down the road. I think everybody just assumed in the summer, whatever work that he had done, he's going to be good to go by the time the season starts. I'm going to try to spin this, okay? And either I'm going to do a good job spinning this, or people are going to say, Slee, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but I'm not buying what you're trying to sell. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and try to spin this. This is how I would spin this. I think Vando is going to he's going to come back at some point, right? I think the only good news in this situation is we're not in March and saying, hey, can Vando make it before the playoffs start or before the play-in tournament or before, the final 1 week or the final 2 weeks of the season, something along those lines. It's December 4th. He's already had now. The bad news is he's already had a couple setbacks. So what makes you think he's not going to have another setback? But I think the point for me is there's enough runway to eventually get a healthy Jared Vanderbilt, hopefully before that NBA trade deadline comes. So I'm going to say if they're saying now that he's probably back in January, early January, let's give him till February 1st. And the only way that I could spin this is he is such a key player for this team. It's funny when I look at these chats and people will say, go ahead, somebody else make an excuse that Jared Vanderbilt's going to come save the Lakers. Okay, hey, go ahead. Somebody else make an excuse that Jared Vanderbilt, once they get Vando back, things are going to turn around. Vando's a legit defender in the NBA. The Lakers right now, I know these last couple of games, all of a sudden they can't score. But the thing really hurting the Lakers more than anything else, they don't play a lick of defense. If you have one of the best defensive players in the NBA, on-ball defenders, that can switch and guard a number of different guards in the NBA. Yesterday, let me use last night's games as a great example. I'm watching 4 or 5 different games, right? Or 4 or 5 different teams. All right, here are all the teams in the Western Conference. Do you think Jared Vanderbilt can help if you're playing De'Aaron Fox, if you're playing Luka, if you're playing Ja Morant, if you're playing Steph Curry, if you're playing Jamal Murray, Fred VanVleet? Those are 5, 6 guys that I just named. Those are just some of the games that I was watching yesterday. All Western Conference teams. They were kind of a little bit later. Maybe a couple of them were 7 p.m. tips. The others were, I think the Memphis-Dallas game was a little bit earlier. The point I'm trying to make is Jared Vanderbilt can help the Lakers, no question about it. When you eventually get this dude back, it's like you made an in-season trade. That's how important of a player Vando is to this Lakers team, because it's not like the Lakers have all these defenders and Vando is just another defender that the Lakers are adding on the team. No, they don't really have any defenders. Who's their defender? It's Cam Reddish on the perimeter, who we know, his limitations. It's Anthony Davis in the middle. And then after that, you're just hoping and praying and singing Kumbaya that somebody can play some defense, because for the most part, Lakers are not known for their defense. This article, it obviously states that. LA is 24th with a 116.7 rating and 21st in opposition points on the defensive side. They're awful on defense. You're not going to go anywhere in the Western Conference if you can't play any defense. Vando is a key piece to their defense. It sucks that it's December 4th and he still hasn't played. It sucks that that the news came out that now the date is pushed into January, that he probably won't be returning. He may have another setback, he may not. But if you could just get this guy back by February 1st, you're still going to have 40 games left in the season. You can still incorporate him into, the scheme and what you're trying to do. And the hope is that eventually Vando comes back, and it's like you're making an in-season acquisition. Listen, they still got to go out there and go get potentially another vet big. You name whichever team, Jonas Valanciunas, Brook Lopez. Brook, I don't think probably goes anywhere. You can name who it is that you think would be a good fit. Maybe they go out there and they get that yesterday when Trevor Lane and I were talking, maybe they go get a two-way player that can really, really help the Lakers, another wing. They're going to have to do that anyways. Well, on top of them doing that, you're probably going to get Vando around the same time. It's like you added 2 or 3 guys, and Vando is going to be one of those players that can help this team for that final stretch. So the only positive that I could spin on this entire thing, there's enough runway for him to come back. The only positive I could spin on this thing, the Lakers are so bad on the defensive end. When this guy comes back, he's going to look like he's Gary Payton and, I don't know, name the best defenders to ever play the game. That's how critical he's going to be for a Lakers team that can't play a lick of defense. So are you buying the timeshare or are you not? Because that's the best pitch that I can make on Jared Vanderbilt. He's valuable. The Lakers need him. Currently, the way this team is structured, they are in dire needs of a player like him. And we're at least early enough to hope that maybe with 40 games left in the season, Vando is back and we don't have to be talking about his injuries anymore. That's the best I can do. So if you guys are interested, just sign right here. And the timeshare comes with 2 weeks. You pick the weeks. And we have free cookies and free coffee. I mean, I don't know what more you guys are asking for. All right, let's see what we got here. Now is the real test. Now everybody has walked in and you got people saying that might be the worst sales pitch timeshare I've ever heard in my life. But there's always that one guy where his wife's like, hey, I don't think you should buy that timeshare. I think that's a bad idea. But then it's the husband that's like, no, this is the greatest investment ever. I mean, do you know the value? If we don't buy it, look how many people are here. Somebody else is buying it. All right, let's see what you guys got here. Vando said false on his Twitter and then delete it. What does that mean? All right, good point. Let me look at what that is too. I saw that too. So Vanderbilt that he's this is what I would assume. If this story comes out and Jared Vanderbilt puts out false, I'm assuming he's coming back earlier. Like I don't have another way to put it. Why would he tweet out false? Is he tweeting out false because it's going to be past January? I don't think he would do that. The only reason why he would put out false is if he thinks he's coming back earlier. So maybe at worst, the guy's going to be back by January 1st or January 15th. Maybe that's, the worst case scenario. The problem with Vando is the only time we've talked about him in a year is, remember last year during that playoff run? Hey, Vando comes back. Is Vando coming back? Hey, Gabe Vincent, Vando. That's all we did. And then this year, it's been the same exact thing. So nothing's really changed on those front. All right, let's see what we have here. AD is probable. AR questionable. Probable Anthony Davis is going to play. I wouldn't worry about Anthony Davis. I think the question is going to be more about Austin Reeves. LeBron is only about the record, so I hope he gets it. All right. See what happens there. At some point, this dude just can't stay healthy. Vando is basically a part-time player, if that. At this point, anything you get from him is bonus moving forward. Can't depend on him, especially with foot and knee issues. So let's go to the part-time player for a quick second. Let's just assume that's what Vando is. Let's say Vando is just a part-time player. Can we get him in the part-time? That's the most important part of the season as we're getting towards February. Because if he's only going to give you half of the season, let's get the half. That's the portion that actually matters. That's the best thing that I can, put a twist on that one. With all the injuries Vando's had, he may not have the same defense 2 seasons ago. All right. Sounds like people aren't buying the pitch. Okay. You know what? That's fine. Somebody else would take the timeshare. Hope is not saving this team. In-season acquisition and make the play and the Lakers are back, LOL. Well, I'm going to go back to what I said a little bit earlier. I'm going to go back to what I said about, I think the thought process specifically behind Vanderbilt is you got to go make moves anyways. How about when Trevor was on yesterday? I love how blunt the guy could be sometime. I'm like, Trev, this roster as constructed, can they do it? He's like, no, of course they can't. This roster can't do anything. The point that I think everybody knows is Lakers got to go make a move. So if all of a sudden you go out there and you make a move and you got that big, or you got that two-way player, that wing player, and Vando is a player that's just healthy now and comes back, your roster does look a lot different. That's the hope. Listen, I'm not telling you that this is going to happen. I'm not telling you that this is all going to work out. At the end of the day, getting just Vando back is not enough. But getting Vando back and some other players, I do think can be a difference. Except this person says, no, Vando is not the answer. By the time he wrote false, he got hurt again. We've had the same problem for 3 years outside. Shooting is a good defender. Lakers refused to address it. They kind of did address it with him. That's the closest thing you're going to get to addressing it. Not shooting wise, but everything else. Okay. That's all I really got on the Lakers front today. When Sammy comes, he'll help preview the game a little bit more. Vanderbilt is Kendrick Nunn. That's right. I forgot about Kendrick Nunn. Kind of the same thing. I got one quick thing that I want to do on the NBA Cup real quick, and then we're going to get to Blake Snell signing and talk a little MLB free agency here. So real quick on this, NBA Cup is set, knockout round. Do I know this? I don't really know it. I just, the NBA is kind of feeding you this, and all the broadcasts are telling you this is what's going on. That's what's happening. The court is a different color. I got to be honest with everybody. So this is the second year that we're doing the NBA Cup. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'll give you my blunt answer. I don't mind it. I really don't. I don't think it's a big deal. Are there some things that are a little annoying? Like some of the courts, it's like, Jesus Lord, this is a little bit extreme. Okay, the world's not going to end. They want you to know it's an NBA Cup game. I've already told you guys this before. Some of the broadcasters and the networks, they're pushing this thing too hard. It's like, oh my God, look at the atmosphere in this game. You know it's an NBA Cup game. All right, everybody relax. It's not that exciting until you get the knockout round, which is about to start. There's 8 teams left. Only 8 teams make the knockout. Okay, now you'll be able to kind of start to feel and sense that this is the NBA Cup. This game matters. You win, you move on. You don't, you're out. Certainly when you get to the semifinals in Vegas. I got to be honest with everybody. There's an article today on ESPN. Here are the teams, the 8 teams that are set that are going to be a part of the knockout. Milwaukee, New York, Atlanta, Orlando in the East, Oklahoma City, Houston, Golden State, and Dallas. I got no issues with it. I'm all right. It's the regular freaking season. So if they want to add a little bit of mix, and if we all had our doubts about it, then that's fine. I think for me, the thing that left a really bad taste in my mouth last year is the Lakers won it, number one, and then just went on this collapse moving forward because it felt like they put all their effort into the NBA Cup. It's like, you guys really tried that hard for the NBA Cup, and then we're sucking wind for the next month and a half because you were tired from the NBA Cup. That part was annoying because I felt like it negatively affected the Lakers. And the other part, everybody knows was annoying. I hate it. What do you mean we're putting a banner up next to all these other banners? Other than that, it's been entertaining. I think it's going to be more entertaining at this point, now that you're in the knockout stage. Leading up to the knockout stage, all right, it's just kind of another regular season game to me. When the Lakers didn't make it, it's like, I don't really care whether they make the quarterfinals or whatever it is, the semifinals. I don't care. They did that last year. But I haven't had an issue with the NBA Cup. The small issues I've had are not that big of a deal. They're trying something different in the regular season. And frankly, I think it's working. I think there is a little bit more intrigue. I think there are more eyes watching. They're going to start watching more now that they're in the quarterfinals. But I saw the article earlier, and because, obviously the Lakers are not going to be in this, there's going to be some pretty good matchups. It sounds like some of these, teams that are in it are looking forward to it. I kind of liked how some teams are blowing other teams out by 20, 25, 30 because of the point differential, because the point differential matters. So from that regard, I didn't have an issue with the NBA Cup, so I'm going to leave this thing alone. I think we're good to go. All right, let's see what we got here. All right. Keen, sorry for all the negativity chats. It's 1:20 here in South Korea. Love the hard work. You, everybody watching, have a great day. And please, Lakers win. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you for being a part of the show. I'm going to assume that currency there is a little different, but I don't care if that currency is $1. I appreciate it. And thank you for being a part of the show. And go get some rest. Freaking 1 a.m. in the morning. All right, let's see what we got here. And I can't do the currency in my math because I have no idea what that is. All right, let's see what we have here. Yeah, Slee's eyes light up. He thought it was 20K. I was like, guys, the broadcast is over. I'm taking 3 months off. 3 months off. I'm done. All right, let's keep this thing. Okay, here's the last thing I'm going to read, and then we're going to get into this Blake Snell stuff. There's been rumors that the NBA pressured the Lakers to make a big deal about the championship and banner last year. It was the first one. I know that. I mean that was kind of like that was an obvious one that they were basically pushing something. I've told you guys this before. The worst thing you could do in anything in life is push something that's not authentic or organic. And that's why I think the broadcaster thing is like, guys, you're pushing too hard on this. Nobody cares that much. Please stop trying to make a big deal about them. Let this thing just naturally grow. The putting up the banner, of course, that was the NBA. I remember people, everybody all talking about, well, that's the Lakers are just being good partners. I get it. I understand that, but you're still pushing things down somebody's throat that nobody really cares about. Blake Snell was introduced yesterday as a Los Angeles Dodger. So he had his presser yesterday. Looks really, really weird seeing him in a Dodger uniform. If I could be honest with everybody, it does. It looks weird for a couple of reasons. He's making like an NL West tour, right? Was with Tampa back in the days. That's actually his relationship with Andrew Friedman is his relationship back in the day with him. And then was with the San Diego Padres for a couple of years. And then last year signed a 2-year deal with an option after the first year with the San Francisco Giants. And then here he is now with the Dodgers. So he's just basically staying on the West Coast and making his tour. I don't think he's going to get to Colorado. I don't think he's going to get to Arizona. But Blake Snell signed his contract, $182 million deal. There was a couple quotes that I think came out of this entire thing that I thought was interesting. And it's just kind of a trip seeing Blake Snell along with Tyler Glass now and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani is going to be starting next year. And we'll see what happens with Roki Sasaki. I think the Dodgers are still the favorite to sign him. You're going to get guys back like who are they getting back? Dustin May is going to be coming back. I'm missing a player. I know I'm missing probably a pitcher or two, but there's obviously a lot of intrigue right now around the Dodgers. One of his quotes that he had yesterday. I'm going to read this off here to everybody. Being in LA, the pressure is always on. I like that. Living here, it's pretty amazing. The opportunities, just being able to pitch. It's a packed stadium. You make moments for people, and this is where you want to play. I don't think there's a better situation that you can be in than being right here. He had a quote too. This is where you want to play. I think right now, and this happens in sports, right, where there was a time in the NFL where being a New England Patriot meant something. There was a time in the NFL where if you're with Belichick and Tom Brady, they're going to fill out the rest of the pieces. And it was just different being a Patriot. There was a time, when I was growing up in the 2000s where the New York Yankees, it was just different. Every year they were going to be in the mix. They won 3 World Series in a row. The Derek Jeters of the world, go down the list, Bernie Williams, Mariano Rivera, Joe Torre. It was just, there was something different about that team and that squad, and all the attention would go towards the Yankees. I'll use some NBA examples. Kobe and Shaq. Kobe and Shaq were in the finals almost every year. I think 4 out of 5 years they were in the NBA finals. That was a window, was really, really special. And guys would go out of their way to want to join a team like the Lakers. Role players would come in. Glenn Rice, Mitch Richmond. I'm just kind of trying to think of guys off the top of my head. Miami Heat, when they signed Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, they went to the NBA Finals 4 years in a row. They didn't win every year, but they were in the finals 4 years in a row. I think that quote from Blake Snell is an important one. I think him saying, this is where you want to play. Right now, the Dodgers, it's weird with the Dodgers because it's not. Let me tell you why Blake Snell signed with the Dodgers. There's a couple of reasons. Number one, I think, and this isn't in any order, I think he does see that he's got a chance to really have success with the Dodgers. I think he knows that all the pressure is not on his shoulders. Look how many other guys are going to get attention. I'm sure his relationship with Andrew Friedman is a solid relationship. I think there was a quote here. Andrew Friedman said he's known him since he was 18. He helped draft him out of high school in Tampa Bay system. So they probably have a long history together. All those reasons are there. You know the other reason why he signed with the Dodgers? Because they're giving him 5 years at $182 million. I don't know if there was a better offer out there. There probably wasn't. Yeah, he's 32 years old. The Dodgers are taking a little bit of a risk and saying, here's a $182 that's going to you. Just like they did with Tyler Glass now, here's a $135 that's going to you. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, they gave him $325 million. Probably the main reason why these players are signing with the Dodgers is because that check is also, they're cutting checks. So it's not like you're coming to the Dodgers to take less money. You're getting paid. You got a chance to win a World Series. And you're financially set for, I don't know how many more years to come. The Dodgers right now are the destination in baseball, period. It's kind of not even close. I don't even know who number 2 is. You want to say it's the Yankees? I don't know. I don't know. I think all the attention right now is on the Dodgers. Is there some risk to what the Dodgers are doing? There is. There is. But it's calculated risk. So let me tell you what I mean by that. The contracts that they have right now that they've signed over the years here, I'd really say I don't really think you have to look very far. I think you just look at the last couple of years. The contracts that they have given out, there is some risk to those contracts. Shohei Ohtani already paid for himself, so I'm not even going to pay attention to Shohei Ohtani. I don't think that one matters at all. But if you start looking at some of these other players, Tyler Glass now, when they gave him $135 million, that already didn't work in the first year. It didn't because he wasn't available for the postseason. They still won a World Series. There's no guarantee that Blake Snell is going to be healthy every single year. But what the Dodgers are doing is they're basically saying, if plan A doesn't work, we got plan B ready. If plan B doesn't work, we got plan C ready. If plan C doesn't work, we got plan D ready. They have 37 different plans. What happens when everything does work? What happens when you walk into a playoffs or into the playoffs and Shohei's good to go? Glasnow's ready to go. Blake Snell is ready to go. Yamamoto is ready to go. And if any of those guys are not ready to go and you get to the trade deadline, they're probably going to go make a move to go try to get another pitcher like they did with Jack Flaherty this year and Tommy Edman, who ended up being the NLCS MVP. I don't think enough people are talking about that. There is risk with what the Dodgers are doing, but I think they have reached a point where they don't give a flying F what the risk is, because they know there is so much revenue coming in. The Guggenheim Group has so much money. I think that firm or that whatever that group is worth over 300 and something billion dollars, their net worth of all the, properties that they have, or all the assets that they have. I think they have decided we don't need one route to win a World Series. Listen, coming into this World Series or coming into this playoff run, Dodgers were not healthy and whole by any stretch of the imagination. That's why everybody was saying, yeah, they're not going to win a World Series. How are they going to win a World Series when they got to go bullpen games? And can you really depend on Yamamoto, who's only had 4 starts before the postseason started? It's the first time pitching in Major League Baseball in the postseason. Jack Flaherty, is this guy too old? Walker Buehler, who's going to depend on Walker Buehler? They have basically said, we're the destination. We're going to pay everybody. The key here is this. They're paying everybody. So whatever they have, I don't care. Blake Snell could say this is the place to be. If they offered him 3 years and $60 million, he's not signing with the Dodgers. They offered him 5 years and $180. I guarantee you there wasn't a team that offered him more than that. So they're not nickel and diming anybody. If they feel like they're identifying the right player, they're going to go out there and get him, and that's exactly what the Dodgers are doing. All right, let's see what we got here. Brian, after all of that, that's what you got. Slee's Padre hat is on today. My Padre hat's always on, but I'm still very honest. Okay? Still very, very honest. All right, let's see what else we got here. Who else is coming? I don't know. I don't know who else is coming for the Dodgers, but I know that they have everything they need, and it's a luxury at this point what they get. See, I don't know much about Snell. Is he much of a high leverage great pitcher? When he's on, he's as good as anybody in Major League Baseball, period. If you guys look at, he had when he was a part of the San Francisco Giants this year, I think to start off the season, now he wasn't a part of spring training. He signed super late. I think through the first, I forget how many starts. He had like a 9 ERA. But that second half of the season, he was untouchable. He's a big time pitcher. Like, I think he likes the big time moments. And Dodger fans know this. When Dodgers won the World Series against Tampa in the COVID season, one of the big articles out there was how the manager of Tampa took him out in the 6th inning, and it was like everyone in it that was a part of that Dodgers organization, they were so thankful that they took Blake Snell out of the game because he gave up one hit and all of a sudden he was out of the game. It didn't make any sense. He's a solid pitcher, and he's going to be even better because they're not depending on him. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. All right, let's keep moving here. I want to welcome in Sammy Long, who obviously is doing all the preview videos on the channel, doing a fantastic job doing that. Sammy, good morning, brother. How are you?
What's going on? How we doing?
Doing good, buddy. Yeah, doing good. I started early this morning.
I tuned in. I got the alert at 7:58, not 8.
Yeah. I was I got a little excited. I had a lot of topics going on. I knew you were coming on around 8:30, and I was like, I got to hurry up here. And yeah, so do I end the show at 8:58? No, I go till 9. You know what I mean, Sammy?
You're a true professional. That's why.
There you go. There it is. All right, let's start off with this. Lakers Heat. You put up a preview video last night, and I was talking about before the show started a little bit earlier how there's a little. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far when I say this. Desperation tonight. They just need a W. I don't care how they get it, but they just need a win. I haven't watched much Heat basketball or anything like that. Give us a little preview of what to expect from Miami tonight.
So Miami's kind of the Eastern Conference version of the Lakers. They're really a lot of veteran talent, a few really young talented players, but just consistently not really putting it together on a night in, night out basis. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They, on the same night, the Lakers got blown out by Minnesota, got blown out by Boston. I believe the score was like 108-89. Jimmy Butler did not play in that game. The game before, they lost by 3 points to the Raptors, and Jimmy Butler did play. Starting lineup is a lot of shooters. They're a very streaky team because it kind of revolves around, Butler, Bam. Bam struggled a little bit. He's actually like the number one most missed field goal percentage in the league, layup field goal percentage, at 30%. And it really relies on Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro. When they're on, the team's kind of really hard to stop. When they're not, you can really take advantage of them. And Jaime Jaquez Jr., we're going to see tonight. The Dalton Connect, draft pick, I think softens that blow a little bit because it looks like Dalton Connect's going to be a star. But the year before, the Lakers picked Jalen Hood-Schifino, and the next pick was Jaime Jaquez Jr., and he's been great for them. They kind of end games a lot with him and Butler on the floor. And I think Dalton Connect and Jaime Jaquez Jr. have just changed this narrative of how we look at NBA draft prospects. Because, before it was, let's take the youngest guy, 19 years old. Is he good at the combine? Who cares what he really did in college? And now guys like Jaquez, who were great at UCLA, but were never the best player on their team, and Dalton Connect, who was old apparently at 22 and can't play defense. They're really performing well, and I think that's changing how we look at those prospects.
Well, I it's a good observation. I think if you're a team that's picking after 15 and you think you're a playoff team and you don't have to, you're not in a position where, all right, we got to go get this 19-year-old or maybe we're taking a risk on some European player that we know, we don't know enough about. Is he going to work out here? I do like the concept of teams now saying we're in contention. Why don't we go get this 22, 23-year-old and give him some real rotational minutes? I mean, obviously, Jaime Jaquez is a good example, and Dalton Connect for the Lakers this year. I don't know if teams that have a top 5 pick are going to do that. That's okay. They're trying to swing for a home run or a grand slam. I get that. Completely understand that. But I think for teams like the Lakers or the Denver Nuggets or teams that have been in the mix, the Boston Celtics, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think Thunder actually took that approach where they were starting to grab guys in this draft. Now, that's partially because they have so many picks that were that were a little bit more seasoned, I guess you can call it. So, okay, it gives us a little bit of idea on Miami. I know you have you're watching every Lakers game and you're seeing what this team is doing. What's your take here? They're struggling here, 2-5 in their last 7 games. What have you noticed? Why do you think they're struggling as much as they are over these last couple of weeks?
Well, 80 said it in his quote after the game, and I got to say I really liked how blunt he was. He kind of essentially said, sometimes it looks like this team can win a championship because they're trying, and sometimes it looks like they don't even belong on an NBA floor. And I really think effort sometimes, like, that's what was so depressing about the Minnesota loss and the Phoenix loss and the third quarter of the Nuggets, was it really felt like they just quit on the game. And those are all good teams. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some, especially a tough road environment in Phoenix and Minnesota. But to just like quit in the second half and really look like, hey, like we're ready to get on the bus. And I know it was a fan, all of us tuning in.
That was their ass kicked.
They're getting their ass kicked. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was kind of ironic to me that D'Angelo Russell, the player that gets crushed every 5 seconds, because in some of it's, rightfully so, because he doesn't always produce. He was the best player on the floor. He looked like the only guy, and he gets crushed for his effort. Looked like the only guy who actually cared. And
do you know the comments were in the post game?
What?
Of course, D'Lo crushes it when Lakers get their asses kicked.
Well, that's
there's always an angle. There's always an angle. And you know what I did? You know what I did when I saw that comment? I'm like, okay, I see the angle.
I got a question for you. Do you like get the D'Lo hate? Like, I feel like D'Lo gets held to a different standard than every other player on the Lakers.
Yeah. Let me tell you what hurts D'Lo more than anything else. I think he's I think there are a lot of times I watch him and it feels like he's going at 37 miles an hour on a freeway. It's like, a little bit more effort here. There's a lot of Olay on the defensive side. I don't think anybody questions the dude can jack up threes and he could be a good offensive player. A lot of times too, doesn't get enough credit for 5 or 6 assists. He's a facilitator. I think he's a natural facilitator. Yeah. My problem with D'Lo is he's too lackadaisical. He doesn't look like I want this win more than anything else. And I think fans notice that. And his other problem is he's had performances in the playoffs where he's literally been, you can't play him. And those things, those follow you. This is his 5th or 6th team now so far in his NBA career. I think he's got a lot of things against him that's working against him. So I get the frustration with D'Lo. I really do.
Yeah, this is not me questioning if LeBron was to win, because I know LeBron was to win. LeBron's been a great Laker. I'm appreciative of LeBron. But I really feel like that Oklahoma City game, the Lakers were outplaying Oklahoma City, and I felt like they were kind of getting stops, and I really felt like they had a chance to win that game.
Sure.
And then it felt like LeBron was struggling, and he knew he was struggling. So it was like, I'm going to keep taking shots. He had 5 turnovers in that game. And every game since, the Jazz game, he had 27, but he shot 0 for 9 from 3 the other night. It feels like he's trying to prove to himself to shoot himself out of the slump. And down the stretch in those games, in the last 5 minutes of that Oklahoma City game, it was kind of just ball watching. Everyone was standing around. LeBron was trying to do his thing. And SGA just played better than him. SGA was the one hitting one-on-one ISO shots, and LeBron wasn't.
So, Sam, I think they're 2 separate conversations. I think D'Lo on his own is a separate conversation. I don't think there's any mix with LeBron and D'Lo. LeBron, let's transition actually to LeBron here real quick. Yeah, Bron in these last 4 games, I've said this, and I know you'll tune into some of these post-game shows. I've said, and this was 4 games ago, I'm like, he looks old. I haven't said that very often. I'm not telling you that he's the same player as he was in 2020 or 2018 or 2022. He looks old right now, and this is one of the worst stretches that Bron has had over a 4-game stretch. And I don't know what's happened. Is it well, of course this was going to eventually happen, and this is the cliff that we've all been waiting for, that Bron has been able to just say, you think I'm on the cliff? Well, I'm not. He's been – I like what you said about there's a stubbornness to him, which is part of the reason of why it makes him so great. His stubbornness is, well, I missed my last 3. Watch out. I'm going to hit the next one. Right. Well, I got a turnover. Well, I'm still going to try to make this pass to a cutting Max Christie, and it's going to get nowhere near him. There's there is a stubbornness that comes with LeBron, and that stubbornness is he's arguably the greatest to ever do it for 22 years. But his body and his mind wants to do one thing and his body is doing another. 0 of 19 in his last 19 3-point attempts. The turnover, I mean, he's a turnover machine. Every single game. It's like if he has a game where he has 4 turnovers, I mean, that was a good game. He's 5, 6, or 7 turnovers every single night.
Yeah, it feels like even Anthony Davis this year has understood, and he's taken the role of the best player. I don't know if it needs to come from AD, because LeBron can still be a super valuable piece of this team. And obviously, even when he's having, against the Jazz, he had 27 points. He had a bad night. So it was kind of like, he still can affect the floor at a rate that it's not like he's garbage and can't play. But, when the Lakers are running their offense, I heard him talk about it post-game. They asked him, he's like, I think Mike Trudell asked him, how would you assess the first quarter of the season? He said, what's our record? And they go 12-9. He goes, well, it's going to take a while to, learn the system. And we have a new system full of all these, new coaching staff and new players gelling. It's like, well, then let's do that, LeBron. Let's run the system in the fourth quarter. It kind of gets the Lakers to the fourth quarter, and it feels like then it's like, let's just play iso ball. And I think it's really been hurting them.
Well, I kind of look at this team in a couple different ways, and I'm gonna go back to Braun here for a quick second. They don't have a choice on Braun. So if Braun is starting to, what are you drinking? Some coffee there?
Yeah, I realize this is my grandma got me this mug. And something
damn right she did.
I'm killing it. So
there you go. All right, cheers to you.
I'm gonna get clowned for that on the chat. I realize that.
You'll be fine. If your grandma got it, that's awesome. You should be rocking that. Okay, so here's what I was going to say real quick on Braun. They don't have a choice on Braun. That if Braun all of a sudden if he's 25% worse than he was a year ago, then there's really no conversation. I'm not talking about he's completely falls off a cliff, but if he's 25% worse than he was last season, you tell me where the Lakers go on this. I think that every night, I'm going to go back to last game here for a quick second. LeBron and Anthony Davis had 22 points total combined. There was a 12 and a 10, okay? I don't care what anybody else does on this team. If those two guys are giving you 22 points total, the question is just basically how many points are you going to lose by? In the game against, it wasn't the Thunder, Denver, they had 27 points total. It was like 17 and 12. It was like AD had 17 and LeBron had 12. It's 29 total.
Well, in that Oklahoma City game, the rest that I remember my preview video, I was like, this is one of the rare times we can actually say that the supporting cast outplayed and helped out LeBron and AD, and they didn't help the team.
Yeah. Okay. So to kind of just hit off of that, they basically need LeBron and Anthony Davis every night to be a no-brainer. Here's your 55 points combined. Here's your 18 rebounds combined. And here is your 10 assists, 12 assists combined. If that's not there, like that's got to just be when you walk in, that already has to be on the box score. If it's not, because they already have other issues of saying, well, is Dalton Knecht going to have a good night? Is he not? Is D'Lo going to perform? Is he not? Is Gabe Vincent going to perform? Is he not? They already have too many questions there that if those two dudes aren't doing anything, they're in a world of trouble.
I don't mean to keep ripping on like LeBron, but I don't know if it got worse this year, but the complaining about fouls is everyone does in the NBA. But the complaining about fouls and then simply not running back on defense has allowed the Lakers to be so bad in transition in the last 3 years. And it kills the team. Like the almost best thing that happened if you're playing the Lakers is to almost foul them or get away with the foul, have them miss the shot because you're going to get a bucket the other way. Because there's going to be a guy wide open because they just don't run back on defense. And it's crazy the amount of easy buckets that we give up every game. That's just, it's nauseating to me to watch.
I was talking about Vando a little bit earlier. He's got his setback and now not coming until January. Or, supposedly, I don't know.
I know it's getting scary. It's like, what,
his tweet that he put out didn't make any sense. Anyway, so long story short, they're so bad on the defensive side that if I was trying to spin this as best as I could, we already know this. Pelinka already knows. Everybody already knows. This isn't a secret. Lakers need to they got to find ways to add to this roster. If they're going to do anything, they got to find ways to add to this roster. So whether they go out and decide, you know what, let's go make a move on Jonas Valanciunas, or let's go try to get a two-way wing player. I think the good news is the only good news that I could find on Vando is there's enough time because it is December 4th. Maybe we are getting to a point. Maybe we are getting to a point where by the time February 1st comes, there's a player or two they added at the trade deadline. Vando is coming back as well. And that could be kind of their last push and their last run. But it's the only positive I could look at Vando is we're 21 games in. We're not 61 games in. So there's a little bit of time.
Yeah, and the one thing to add on to that is Vando doesn't really need a time to get ready. You know, at Gabe Vincent, it was like he came back with a week or two to go. I mean, you were right on it. I was kind of more excited about him coming back. But I was like, oh, you're like, it kind of takes a while for a shooter to get in rhythm, and you were right because he didn't really do a lot in the playoffs there. But he just plays defense, and it'd be really exciting to see if I know you wouldn't have a lot of scoring, but if you got a big lead in a game, how about Reddish and Vando on the floor together? I mean, that would the Lakers could actually transform into a defensive team. I know there's not a lot of scoring, but if you have Connect and a couple of guys going off, you can pair in the rotation. It'd be exciting to see the Lakers actually play some on-ball defense at the guard spots.
Only shot they got. If we want to simplify everything, you can't do anything without getting stops and without playing defense. And Lakers, not consistently enough on that. Okay, let me switch gears here. So Lakers got the Miami Heat. I was talking a little baseball here right as you were coming on. I want to go back to something. This actually will be a new conversation. So Juan Soto supposedly is getting a little bit closer into making a decision. There's 5 teams supposedly that he's choosing from: the Yankees, the Mets, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and the Dodgers. I still don't think he's coming, to the Dodgers. I really don't believe that's what the Dodgers are going to do. However, they did make a pitch. They did make an offer. So Juan Soto, maybe this is kind of one of those things where Juan Soto decides, all right, instead of signing 15 years somewhere else, I'll sign for 8 years with the Dodgers, get a lot of money in, the first 8 years, and then I could go sign somewhere else. I don't think that's going to happen, but anyways, it sounds like Dodgers are still in the mix here. I've had this conversation already. It feels like a lot of Dodger fans would prefer that they don't go get, they obviously don't go get Juan Soto. That Teoscar Hernandez is the player who I read another article that he'll make a decision basically right after Juan Soto makes his decision. Yeah. And a lot of that, I'm sure he's going to, use some of that leverage his way. He was really good for the Dodgers this year. I'm sure he wants multi-years. I saw some deals out there for him that are around 3 years. How important is it that if Soto ends up signing with the Yankees or the Mets or the Red Sox, whatever, there's going to be a lot of money out there that Toronto, teams that were trying to make a run at Soto, are going to now go throw that money at Teoscar Hernandez. How important do you think he is specifically to coming back to the Dodgers?
Well, I mean, he was the guy, the game 5 against the Yankees. He hit the 2-run double. He tied it. So Teoscar Hernandez really seemed like the ability he had in the 1 year he played with the Dodgers to like kind of be the soul of the team. It felt like a little bit like it seemed like the team just loved him. He's the guy that's going to benefit the most in all of this because, as you said, Soto's going to sign. He's going to get some unreal contract wherever he goes, and Teoscar's the next best hitter on the market. So, what do they say in real estate? They go, don't have the nicest house in the area, have the second nicest house because it, sells, and then you get more than that. Not that he's going to get more than Soto, but he's probably at, I think Teoscar's 32, something like that. Probably going to get a little bit more than he should for his age. I think the Dodgers, listen, I think Soto is a wild story for the Dodgers, and it's like, wow. I mean, could you imagine that? I don't think they're really in the mix for Soto. I don't see at the end of the day him leaving the Yankees. And I've heard a lot of the Mets. I don't really get that if you're Soto. Like, why would you go across town in New York to a lesser market where your brand goes down immediately? You think they're going to pay that much more than the Yankees?
No, probably not. I think I think Steve Cohen is really trying to land his guy. And this is one of those opportunities. It's like, okay, you just tell me what they offer you. And then whatever that offer is, then give us a chance to, see what we can do with it. That's the only reason why he would say, listen, Mets also got to the um, NLCS.
Yeah.
Yankees got to the World Series. Both teams were very competitive. So I think there are some reasons why he would sign with the Mets, but it would only be from a money perspective. That's it. There's literally no other, there'd be no other reason.
And I think the Soto thing is a luxury for any team. In the Dodgers, it's fantasy baseball putting him in a lineup there. But honestly, if you take, I don't even know that that's worth the money in the sense of if the
he's probably going to get 600 plus over 15 years.
Right. And we already know about Shohei Ohtani, you give that money to. Shohei Ohtani's never been a prickly person. Shohei Ohtani is all nothing but smiles. Seems like a great dude. I don't know him, but just seems like a good dude. For Soto's time in San Diego was very tumultuous. You know about this, Lee. He was the pitch clock was he was blaming that, why his struggles were the one year when Tatis and Machado were playing well. And then he was talking about his pitching coach. And then he wanted to be on the East Coast. I don't know. Giving a super long-term deal to a guy, Juan Soto, that seems to kind of every year or so want something new. I could see that kind of backfiring in a couple of years.
Yeah, well, and I think they're probably doing it more than anything else. A lot of people have wrote articles about this. Dodgers are also just throwing their weight around and saying, listen, if we got to throw our name into this mix, maybe we drive the price up to make it a little bit more tougher on the Mets or the Yankees or I think just them being in the mix is a headache for the other teams. And that's probably what they're doing. I'd be shocked. I really would if Soto signed with the Dodgers. I really would. I'd be shocked if he signed with the Dodgers.
Soto would then get the Kevin Durant treatment. It'd be that you literally lost to him in the World Series, and now you're going to go join him. If Soto wants to, he has a real shot to be, considered one of the greatest hitters of all time. I mean, what he's done at age 26 already is crazy. He won that World Series with the Nationals and stuff. But if he wants to do that, obviously, people in LA would be excited. But I don't know that that's I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors.
I don't think you can make, sometimes people are looking at the comps and they're saying, all right, well, let's take a look at Shohei signed for this much. You truly cannot compare Shohei to anybody. You can't, because just from a pure business perspective, Shohei Ohtani is whatever box office is, he's 10 times whatever box office is.
Yeah.
As great as Soto is, there is literally such a drop off. But there's a drop off with anybody if you're comparing him to Shohei Ohtani. So I don't think that's it. The Teoscar thing I think is interesting because I think there are teams. The only way you're going to get Teoscar Hernandez if you're Toronto, if you're Boston. I'm just throwing teams out that, let's say, missed out on the sweepstakes.
I heard Washington, KC is interested in him.
The only way you get him is if you overpay and give too many years. It's the only way you're going to get him, because he's in a situation where he's comfortable in LA. He's in a situation. This is going to be the one thing that I think the Dodgers question. Let's say the Dodgers offer him 3 years, $60 million. Hey, we're giving you a multi-year deal. You get your 60. Another team comes in and says, we're giving you 4 years for 80. That's the only question I have with Teoscar. It's not that he's not obviously a great fit. He came through all that stuff. What will the Dodgers do if it becomes a bidding war? Teoscar could just say, I'm happy here, and I'd rather, take a little less money and go from there. But that's the only thing that I could think of.
Yeah, and I think the Tommy Edman signing probably takes a little pressure off the Dodgers in that. I think they need Teoscar Hernandez back. He was a huge part of that team, and he was kind of the unsung hero that people, had to pitch around, because you can't pitch around all of them. You can't pitch around Ohtani, Mookie, Freddie, Muncy. Yeah. And it's like, wow, Teoscar was, for most of the season, was the hottest hitter there was. And people forget, overall, obviously Ohtani in stretches where he was the most dominant, but Teoscar had some really big moments and was pretty consistent throughout the whole year. So I think it'd be smart for the Dodgers to bring him back, and I think he's definitely a fan favorite, so it worked pretty well.
Yeah, and here's the thing: what the Dodgers can do, just defer his payments till 2020, 2,200, and just pay him in 100 years. You don't even have to just literally just push the deferred payments out. There was actually a good article. I won't do this today, I'd like to actually have somebody on from more of just like a baseball perspective. There was a couple really good articles that were out there, and I guess they're now over $1 billion in deferred payments. Don't be surprised if they, find a way to do that again and work it to their advantage. All right, brother, I got one more thing that I want to get into with you. I know you're a big USC fan, and I've spent some time talking about USC. I got no dog in the fight. I really don't care how USC does. But they've been an interesting story. It's the first year they're in the Big Ten. Obviously, this year they go 6-6. What are they, 11th in the standings in the Big Ten? I mean, just 10th or 11th or whatever it is. You see some big recruits all of a sudden starting to leave as well for USC. Today is early signing day.
Yeah.
What are we going to be talking about with SC by the time next year starts? Has SC found a way to turn it around? Has that just where do you think SC is over the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, SC it's tough. Even that Notre Dame game, I mean, the Notre Dame game was a microcosm of the last 15 years of USC football. It's the talent's there. They play up to it. They have a chance to beat Notre Dame because they got 5-star recruits everywhere. But at the end of the day, they don't. And they don't really come through at the end. They make a crucial mistake, and there's 2 pick sixes at the end of the game. The big signing today that the SC fans should be watching out for is Jakeem Stewart. He's a big 5-star defensive end. The SC is being predicted to get him. They already lost a couple big-time recruits at the start of the year. Justice Terry was a big D tackle. Another defensive end they had who were committed to USC and went out. Now, early commitments I don't think matter as much in today's college football landscape because guys commit and then they just, kind of head out. But I'm looking for Jakeem Stewart today, and I saw something already this morning where Alabama has 7 recruits from like Southern California and SC has 5. That's the biggest problem.
Wow.
Is that it used to be, in the Pete Carroll days, it was if you're from LA, San Diego, you're SoCal kid, you're going to SC. Like they used to tell stories about they wouldn't even come recruit like Ohio State and Alabama. They would just, if it was in the West Coast, like it's done. Like we're not even going to waste time our recruiting visits going. And now it feels like, LA, one of the biggest cities in the world, is open for business.
Here's the problem, Sammy. The perception is everything. And, I was reading an article, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, and one of the main articles, SC loses another guy. It's all momentum, right? If the only way things kind of change is first off on the field, it's got to start looking better. And you got to start having some signature wins. And, when they beat LSU to start the season, you thought, oh, damn.
Right.
SC is ready to go. Like here they are in the Big Ten. They're taking down an SEC school in the first game of the year. And since then, they've just kind of fell off a cliff. So until they got to change that perception, it's not that SC brand can't be special again. But right now, the cool thing to do is say, we're not going to USC. The cool thing to do is to decommit from USC. Yeah. And that swag that they've, obviously they've had for certainly have had a part of their football program. It's not there right now. And their leader in Lincoln Riley, the only conversation I hear with Lincoln Riley right now is, wait a minute, why is this guy still the coach? Or what has he done? How long is he going to be the coach for? If they got to buy him out, what's that going to cost? None of it is about football. None of it is about, how he's doing and how the school is doing.
Riley kind of has the golden handcuffs on him. It's a weird thing with Riley because you're thinking about firing him. It's like, who are you going to get that's better? And Lincoln Riley, for all his faults, does produce big-time NFL quarterbacks. It does produce big-time NFL receivers. So if you're a skill position player, running backs, you want to go play for Lincoln Riley. I mean, he's had, 3 Heisman winners, something like that, or, Mayfield and Caleb and Kyler. I mean, he's had a whole list of them. But then, on the flip side of that is the defense. And the offensive line has not been fixed in the entire 3 years he's been there. The defensive line. So it's kind of this thing where until SC hits on a couple guys, it's just It kind of feels like the same thing over and over again.
Sammy, great stuff, brother. I appreciate a good preview video up right now on the channel. So Sammy's previewing the Lakers and the Miami Heat. Tip off early tonight. I think 4:30?
4:30.
Okay, 4:30.
The chat wants to hear about Euro weekend activities.
I saw them. Yeah, I saw them.
they're excited. They want to be like you, Al.
Yeah, pass it over. Whatever they were,
Yeah.
whatever they were passing on the,
Yeah.
swing that over my way. We actually got a couple Ask Sleeves that I'm going to get into here real quick. So I starred those. So I'm going to get to that in just a second. Sammy, thank you, buddy. Thank you for coming on. Great stuff. Keep hustling, doing your thing. I know you're making it happen on those preview videos. So I appreciate you getting everything all set up for all the Laker fans that are out there. So thank you for being a part of the show, bud.
Awesome. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, guys.
All right, that's Sammy. Sammy Long right there. Sammy Long right there. Good work, Sammy. Nice job, buddy. Good job. All right, let me find this here. All right, we got some Ask Lee here real quick. Got some Ask Lee. You got to do what you got to do. It's completely up to you. Let's just say I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to stop you. If you got a question you want to throw my way, feel free to do that right now. All right, I got this. All right, here's one from Dub T. Slee, do you enjoy listening to jazz music? All right, let me tell you something about jazz music. This is my greatest example of jazz music. Let me tell you what jazz music is. Jazz music is, I don't listen to it enough. I used to listen to it more. I think I've told you guys this before. I'm a big reggae fan. Now reggae's got a lot more chill of obviously the atmosphere of reggae. It's great music, and there's a lot of artists too that have a little bit of hip hop influence into their reggae. So I kind of like that, but I like old school reggae. I mean, you give me some Burning Spear, you give me some Peter Tosh, you give me 70s, which is so random here. 70s is probably my favorite era of reggae music. I still listen to, stuff that's out right now. Not as much jazz, but I will tell you this about jazz music. Jazz music basically it's in the background. Let's say you're with a group of people. Jazz music is, hey guys, I just want you guys to know, I'm going to be in the background. If you need anything, let me know, but I'm 100% not going to interrupt the conversation. That's jazz music. It's phenomenal. You can have it at any time. It's great. So I give jazz music a lot of love here. All right, let's get a couple more of these. Ask Slees here. Ask Slee, for those who don't know, just ask me any question. It doesn't matter what it is. For example, this one right here. We'll go with option A. I'll go option A on that one. Okay. Julian Beer. Oh, that's right. Got the Julian Brewing. Julian Brewing's off. If you guys have never been to Julian Mountain, I'm not kidding. If you're out here in Southern California and you're looking for, hey, I want to get away with a family, couple days, or maybe you just want to do a day trip, they're known for a couple of things. You got Julian Beer, which is phenomenal, really good food. It's actually got a great barbecue spread that they do with their beers. It's amazing. But Julian is also known for their pies. Not Julian Beer Company, but the city of Julian, the small town of Julian Mountain is known for their pies. You get some really good pie, get some really good lunch. You could spend a full day out there and have a great time. So, yes, great beer, but also just a great place to go visit. Slee, best dispensary down in SD. How would I know that? Torrey Pines Holistics. I'll tell you exactly which one. There's one in Torrey Pines. Phenomenal. It's a good one. All right, enough of you all influencing me on this day. Enough of that. All right, let's see. Last couple here, and then we're going to call today. Carne asada fries or carne asada nachos. Fries all day long. It's not even close. Not even close. Back in the day when growing up in San Diego, Mexican food was like, you had Mexican food 13 times a week. Usually what I get my California burrito, which is your regular carne asada burrito, but they're going to go ahead and put some French fries in there. It's an amazing mix. It's a perfect mix. You get that. And then typically I'd get 5 roll tacos. Okay. I don't need that much food. But if you're going with the carne asada fries were kind of all on their own. You couldn't do the roll tacos and the burrito. So carne asada fries all day long, way before the nachos, in my opinion. All right, let's see what else we have here. Waffles, pancakes, or French toast. I go waffles number 1. Pancake is my number 2. French toast is my number 3. I don't really care for French toast that much. Collie Buds. Fantastic. Very, very good artist. Okay. I think that's all we got. What do we? I went $110 today. I got a post-game show later. Guys, you think my day is over? We still got a lot going on here. Hey, I want to tell everybody, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I'm going to ask you guys, and I know I ask, and I appreciate you guys supporting the show, supporting the channel. I see a lot of comments that are on there, and I feel the love. So thank you very much for doing so. My job moving forward is to make this do the best I can at this channel to make it entertaining, to make it informative, to, obviously give you your sports takes and everything else. With that being said, I just ask for one thing. If you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel and liking the videos, it helps a lot. So thank you for being a part of the show for $110 today. Really enjoyed it as always. I'm back on tonight. Tonight, I'll do post-game show Lakers and the Miami Heat. So thank you for being a part of the show. I appreciate all the questions. You guys actually made Ask Lee. These are good questions today. I like this. Every Wednesday, we'll do Ask Lee. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you to Sammy Long for being a part of it. I will see you guys if you're available tonight to join for the post-game show. If not, I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thanks, everybody.